coastline, the meeting point.
I am Kidati. Today we have a special guest, and he's no other person than Senator Tolu Odebiyi, who is representing Ogun West Senatorial District. You are welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, for official purpose, could we meet you?
Thank you for granting me this interview. My name is Senator Tolu Odebiyi. I represent the good people of Ogun West Senatorial District in Ogun State.
So, briefly, could you tell us how your journey has been so far in politics?
Well, for me, the process, I have to thank Senator Bikole Amosu, because really he was one that brought me out into active politics. Yes, I do come from a political background. My late father was a Senate leader in the First Republic, amongst other things. But he brought me into active politics, and I came in one as a member of the Judicial Service Commission in Ogun State, and then later to become a chief of staff to the governor of Ogun State, the former governor of Ogun State, Senator Bikole Amosu. That is what led to now being in the Senate.
All right, thank you very much for that, son. Before we go to the 2023 elections, let us talk about two areas that are very important to what you have been doing here since 2019. One is the bills you have sponsored, which, if I'm not wrong, are more than 8 of it.
More than that, yeah.
Yes. Then also, we look at your background professionally.
Yeah.
That's the real sector.
Yeah.
So, but first, let's talk about these bills. One that really fascinates or that catches my attention is one that has to do with the border institute, and what is the idea behind this, and how will this resolve the issue of border clashes and the like?
Well, thank you. Just as you rightly said, I think I'm sure I have to ask my staff because I can't even recollect how many bills we've passed so far, but I know it's in excess of a dozen. If I can say that. But as you rightly said, the one that you picked out was the National Institute of Border Studies. The need for that is because in Africa, more importantly Nigeria, with a large population, there is a lot of intra and inter-country migration and movement and all kinds of things. Borders that we are still dealing with are some of the ones that were established by the Europeans and all that stuff. And some of them were not even actual borders, And if you look at, what has been happening along our borders, there is no agency or an institute that really takes a study, in terms of our border management and looking at exactly what is happening. There are a lot of demographics changes, demarcations, all kinds of things that happen around that border. If you look at what happened to Cameroon. I mean, obviously, if you had an institute that has been managing, a lot of this would have been foreseen ahead of time. And so many other countries, the US, Canada, they do have Institute of Border Studies. But I think this is probably going to be the first one in Africa that we are going to have. The issue of migration, human trafficking, all kinds of things. We need to have a study of what is happening, and we have over 4,000 porous borders in Nigeria. That's even along where I come from. If you look at all the axis of my Ogun West Central District, we probably have one of the longest stretches of border with Benin Republic and other. There's so many porous areas and that kind of thing. So there's need to understand what is happening, the activities that are happening, the migration that are happening, what is going on along the border, and also as an institute that also we train the personnel, the immigration, the customs on border management, on what is happening, and give them real-time information into what is. It's an institute for learning, it's an academic institute, it's a research institute, and it's a national security institute also, all then combined into one.
Thank you very much. So now let's go to the professional background that I earlier mentioned. The real sector is striving in Nigeria as of today. What do you think can be done more to make it a standard compared to what you have experienced outside the country?
it's very simple, really. It's just to create an enabling environment, uh, and and also to ensure that the critical infrastructures are in place to enable businesses to thrive. What we've had in this country is we've had a lot of neglect over the years. Not focusing on what I call mission critical infrastructure to be in place, making sure the road is good, making sure the lights is good, making sure all these critical things that companies need in order for them to thrive. When you burden a company with a lot of infrastructural needs based on the challenges, you're making cost of operating in Nigeria very, very expensive. I mean, when you have to push on your line, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's very, very expensive, and that is why. And that cost invariably is going to be passed down to consumers. And what you don't realize is that when consumers have to pay exorbitantly for things, it further impoverishes them because what you are spending, if maybe it's supposed to be half of what you should be spending, and that money could have gone into other things you are spending just to maintain yourself, so it further limits what you can do as a person. So what is important is to create an enabling environment, make sure we have a fair tax system, try and get as many people into the tax system as possible. Don't unduly overburden the companies with taxes because when the taxes are reasonable, they'll be able to hire more and produce more. Make sure that you have infrastructural development that enables these companies to operate maximally. I come from an area in Ogun West, take for instance Agbara Industrial Estate. I mean, Agbara is the only private industrial estate it's probably the country, probably not the oldest. And there are over 100 major companies there. Nestle is there, GlaxoSmithKline is there, Unilever. These are P&G. So all these multinationals, the AAA companies, and even their ratings is better than the ratings of Nigeria, their credit rating. They're all there. But if you look at the roads there, if you look at the infrastructure there, I mean, it's appalling. It's upsetting. It's worrisome, and these are things that I've been advocating that we have as a country. We have to focus on power, things like this. A lot of those companies, we are talking about unemployment. A lot of those companies are operating at 30-40% of their capacity because they can't run two shifts. They can only run to a certain limit. Now, if you don't have this infrastructure, so everything is connected. If they cannot operate optimally to at least 70-80%, they cannot hire people. And if they cannot hire people, you have unemployment, and then you have low productivity. So that's why we have to make sure, as a legislative body, we are doing our bit, passing laws, doing everything to make sure, supporting the executive whenever they bring a bill here, making sure we approve as much funding for all these things, and make sure that we provide an enabling environment, provide the infrastructure in order to address some of the socio-economic issues.
Thank you very much. So lastly, 2023 is here, and some individuals have shown interest in the presidential race. What do you have to say about some of this?
I think it's a good thing. I think it tells you that democracy is stable. I think it tells you that the country we're growing, we're developing, albeit with some challenges. It's too early to do any critical or serious assessment for me right now. I think people are just still testing the waters. I mean, we need people. I mean, I'm sure sooner or later you have more people that will come up, and then one can now do a more comprehensive analysis. If you're now doing analysis of people that have come out now, when you haven't seen the whole cadre of people that are coming out, I think it'd be very unfair. So I think it's important to just wait another month or two and see what the overall quality of people that are going to come out. But I think the mere fact that people are coming out to serve or to want to serve, I think it's a good thing for democracy. Yes, you're going to have all sorts of people, but I think the process itself eventually will start to weed out who the real players are and who are not the real players. And I think that's what all the parties are doing now to go to see who is.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We hope that we call on you next time with your pledges.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was Senator Tolu Odebiyi talking to us about a number of issues. Our eventually have missed this interview. Follow us on all our social media handles displayed on the screen. On this note, I call a curtain on the show for today. My name is Kita. Until I come your way again next week, stay safe and stay out of trouble. Bye for now.
Coastline, the meeting point.